Hello friend, welcome back. In our previous video, we successfully checked our logging. So here if you put that appropriate username, that means the email address and the password, and after that if you click on the logging, and then we generated one of the token. So now we have to save that token. So we have to save it in our application, into the application that is our local storage, right? So into the local storage in our this link area, we have to save it. And also we have to validate it because here we are using the JWT token. So for the JWT token, we have to define all that our security, right? So if you want to do that work, so in our logging blade here, I define our logging method. So I created one of the method as a logging, and also I pass it. So in the previous video, I have already discussed about that things with you. And here also I pass our the Axios post and then our this form, all the data. So and then I just simply define that things with our console log, right? So now friend, here we have to pass that things. We have to pass our this all data, that means all the token data in our application, in our storage. So here we have to write down all that code in particular that area. But here one things, like that is our logging page, right? So we have to do the same things for our register page, for our another I have created as a forget view. So we have to define that also on here. So here if you want to put that code specific this logging page, then we have to copy it, we have to add that things also for our register and the forget. So that will be not a good practice. For the reasons here I want to define that things with using some of the helper. So with the helper class I want to add all that our functionality in our helper. So how can do that work? In this video I will show you that things with a live example. So for creating these helpers, I want to do in our JS folder. That means in our JS folder, that is our auth. So into the JS folder, I want to create one of the folder. So I just create one of the folder and I just name that folder as a helpers. Okay, I just name it as a helpers folder. So into this helpers folder, I want to create one of the file. I just click on the save as, and here I just name it whatever you want. So right now I name it as a app storage. Okay, I just name it as app storage.js. So now I want to create one of the files. So in our helpers, into the helpers, I have created one of the JS file as a app storage.js. And here, first of all, I want to define our class. So I just simply define as a class our app storage. Okay, I just simply define our app storage, and also I want to export it. So here I define as export, and the default our app storage, that means this one. So here I define our app storage as a new, I create object for our app storage. So I just simply create it. Perfect. And here I want to pass our token, right? Like here if you go to this position, so they have some of the tokens. So this token actually we define in our auth controller. Into the auth controller there is a logging method. Here you can see that is actually the token. So now I want to pass it. So you have to add that things in our that area. That means here first of all I want to take one of the method as a store token. Okay, I just name it as a store token. So this type of one of the method I want to define, and into this method area we have to pass our token. So that means here that is our token. So that is actually our token. So I just simply take it. So here I define the token. So here I just simply pass it, and now I want to store this token. That means I want to store this token where? I want to store this token in our application, in our local storage, right? So here we have to define that our local storage. So we have to defining it. So if you want to define, then you have to define the local storage. Okay, local storage. And now I want to set it on here. So they have also one of the function as a set item. Okay, into the set item they have the two parameter. One will be as a name and another will be as a value. So here I define that name as a token, right? Our name as a token, and also our value. So our value is this one. So I just simply pass our value. Perfect. So here I just simply set our this token in our local storage. So here I just simply take it. So here I simply paste it. Okay. So here I store our token, and also if you want to set, that means if you want to save your all that user details into the local storage, then you can also do that work. So better I just copy it. And now here I also want to define all that our authenticated user. Right now I am already logging with a specific some of the user, right? So with this user details I also want to pass it in our store, that means the local storage area. So here I define as a user, and also there is a name will be as a user, and here the value will be as a user, right? So I just simply pass both of this on here. So here I pass the token. So if you go to our authenticated, I have already discussed about that things with you. When you put your appropriate email address and password, then it should be redirected to our this method, that is with this token, right? So when it's passed that method, what exactly it's passed? So it's passing some of the data, like here is passing the access token, the token type, and the expired in. And also here if you want to pass your all that name, like if you go to our database, here also they have the field as a name. If you want to pass that your username, the email address, okay, and also the user ID. So if you also want to pass it, you can also pass it. Better I show you, like here I want to pass another one. So I want to pass another one, like I just copy it, I just simply paste it. Also I want to pass our name, that means our database field name. I want to pass that field name. So name will be our authenticated username, right? So here we have to defining it. So I just simply define as auth. So with this auth I want to pass our authenticated user. So I just simply define as an authenticated user, and this authenticated user, that means which authenticated user is already logged in, this user name I want to display. I hope it's very much clear to you right now. So now friend, also if you want to pass your that is actually the ID, that means the user ID, then you can also pass it. Like here I define as a user ID, user underscore ID. Everything will be very much clear step by step, don't worry. So right now I want to also pass that things with same. So I just simply pass it. So that means the authenticated user. So with this authenticated user, they have done a field name. So our field name as a this one as a ID, right? So here I just simply define as a ID. And also here if you want to pass that email, so I just simply define as email. So that will be the same. That means this user email, right? So it should be display our this authenticated user, our field name as email. So I just simply pass that email. Okay, I hope you can well understand about it. So before that was actually 3 data is visible. Like here if you go to that positions, like here you can see there is only display that our access token, that is a token type, and the expired in. So right now I have added another 3 of this field. So this data will also be visible when you perfectly log in. Okay, so now I also want to save all the data in our application and storage, and here right now I define 2 of these. One is the method as a store token method. Here I define our token, and also that is user. So now if you want to check it, like I just click on the save all, okay, and now check our compile is perfect, so they have no error. So now open it, I just refresh it again, and now I want to put our appropriate admin@gmail.com and the password actually admin. Now go to that console. Here you can see they have no token. Our previous token is totally gone. As I told you before, when you refresh it, automatically it should be created the new token. So for the reasons we have to actually save that token in our application, right? So now I want to click on the login. Now you can see here they have some of the message as an undefined property, eliminate expecting this, and also it's now showing our appropriate problem. That means in our auth controller I defined some of the wrong in our line 112. In our auth controller 112, that means here that is our authenticated user. You can see I didn't add that first bracket. So here that is our authenticated user, and then username. Also here we have to add it. That means the user ID, the email, and the ID. Perfect. Okay, so here I miss it. So now let's check this out again. I just click on the save all. And now I just refresh it again. And now I just put our appropriate email address and the password, and now click on the login. Yes, now you can see friend, now it's showing our access token. So that is our access token, and that is our token type and expired in. And after that also it's now showing our name, and the ID is also visible. I hope friend it's very much clear to you. You can see there is our expired in, there is a name is visible, ID, that means this user as a admin, and for the admin I define as user ID 1, and also it's now showing as an email. Friend, I think it's very much clear to you, right? So whatever the things you want to pass, you can pass that things from here. So right now it's okay with me. So here we define our two of this method as a token, that means storage token, and here I want to storage our token, that means this token in our local storage. So that is our user. I also want to add that user data in our local storage. So now I have to store it. So if you want to store it, that you have to define one of the methods. So I just take one of the method as a store. Okay, so right now I want to store it, so I just simply want to define one of the method, and into the method here we have to define two of these parameters. So here one will be as a token and also another will be as a user. So I just simply define that user, right? So now I want to access our this one, that means our set item, and that is our local storage. So here I want to storage that all the token data, right? So if you want to add that, that means add that all that our storage data, then you have to define that with the this and this method, that means our store token method. I just simply define as a store token method, and into the store token method I want to pass our that value. So our value is a token, so I just simply pass that value. Okay, so and also there is another one for the user, so it should be actually as a user. So I take another method as a user. Okay, so this will be our user method, and now I want to access it. So where I just copy it, and now with this I want to access our this method as a storage, that means the store user method. Into the store user method they have the value as a user. I want to pass that value. That means here I want to store our token, that means the token value, and also our user value. As I told you before, into the item, that means the set item, they have the two parameter. One will be as a name, another will be as a value. So right now I want to store our all that value. So here I just simply define with our this method as a store. Perfect. So also after that storage, if you want to clear that all, then you can also clear it. They have also another function, that is our remove item. Like here I set item, and also if you want to clear it, first of all I take one of the method as a clear. Okay, I just take one of the method as a clear, and into this method I want to define our local storage, everything. Like here I storage item with our set item. So now I want to clear it. Okay, so if you want to clear it, they have also another function as a remove item. So I just simply define as a remove. Okay, I just simply define as a remove item, and remove item our this token. So here I only define that name, we don't need the value. So we have to do the same things. For our another ones, so remove item for the user. So I just simply define that name as a, that from this field I want to remove item from the token and the user. Perfect. Okay, so here we don't need to use that semicolon, because here I define our clear method on particular that position. And also here you can do one things, like here I define as a set item, so that is our store token, right? So I want to take another method. I want to take another method as a get token. So I just simply define as a get token. Okay, I just simply name it as a get token method, and into this get token method I want to storage our local storage. So that means this one, actually our local storage. So with this local storage I want to get this item. Okay, so I just simply define as a get item. So get item, what get item we have to get it, that is our token. So I want to get it, that token. And also for the user I want to do the same things. I take as a get our user. So I just simply define as a user. Okay, that means our local storage, get item, our user. So I just simply take our user. Perfect. Okay, so friend, here I define all of this, like I just storage all that our value. So here I define all that our value, and after that I want to clear it. I want to clear all that our name. So here it should be remove that, and after that I get I token, and we'll take another method as a get token. Into this get token in our local storage I just define as get item. It should be get our specific this token, that means this value. Okay, so also it should be get for the user, it should be get item our this user value. Perfect. So perfect. So that's the things we have to add. I think every line should be very much clear to you. So don't worry, we will use it, then it will be very much clear to you why I am actually using it. Okay, so we will apply it in our project. That means here we will apply it. Okay, so step by step everything will be very much clear to you. So now friend, here I have defined our token and also the user. So now we have to also create another helper for our all that token and also for the user. So step by step I want to do that work. Better I want to continue this process. In our next video, in our helper class, I want to create another two class for our token and for our user. So thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.